Are you ready to take a trip down memory lane? In this video, we're bringing back 10 trends, gadgets, and habits from the 90s that seem unimaginable today. From styles that will make you laugh to gadgets that have completely vanished, I guarantee you'll be surprised. Ready to relive those moments and have a laugh? Stick around and get ready to be amazed. Back then, the internet was just beginning to go global. In fact, internet plans were incredibly expensive, costing up to $100 per month, and it wasn't exactly the best internet. I'd even say you couldn't browse with such slow internet today, as it only reached speeds of up to 150 kilobits per second. Netscape was one of the first browsers people used to dive into the cyber world. Generally, teenagers didn't use the internet for schoolwork. That's what Encarta was for. They used it to chat with friends on messaging programs like ICQ. Oh, and video rental stores were also hugely popular during this time, but with the arrival of the internet and, of course, piracy, those days were numbered. In fact, one of the biggest companies of that era was Blockbuster, which is now bankrupt due to piracy and the arrival of streaming services. Sadly, people from this generation will never know the magic of renting a movie and watching it with family. Nowadays, people don't look for jobs because, well, there aren't any. But back in the 90s, it wasn't like that. 30 years ago, reading the newspaper was a daily habit for many people, not only to stay informed, but also to look for job opportunities. Every day, it was common to wake up early to buy a paper and check the classified section, where job ads were posted. People would search through the job listings, pick the most relevant ones, and call for more information or to schedule interviews. Companies back then saw newspapers as the main way to advertise job openings, so most employment opportunities appeared in these listings. Some people also preferred a more direct approach, personally delivering their job applications or resumes to companies, hoping they'd be kept on file for future openings. Job hunting in the 90s was quite different from today, where Google and social media are the main tools for job searching or finding services. Without these digital options, newspapers were essential for finding jobs, and many still remember this practice as a necessary step for entering the workforce back in that decade. Today, you can have thousands of memories thanks to your phone's camera, but there was a time when you had to save space in your luggage for rolls of film. You not only needed to bring a compact analog camera, but also film rolls, preferably with 36 shots, just enough for an entire trip. You had to treat each shot as if it were your last, because if anything went wrong, you'd lose an image. Now we snap pictures of everything. On the other hand, taking music everywhere meant lugging around a very heavy device. The Discman. Though it weighed over half a kilo, it didn't have any shock protection. So whenever it bumped into something or moved in your pocket, the CD would skip with the risk of getting scratched. Thank goodness all of this changed when the MP3 player arrived. Imagine coming home from school with tons of homework to do, and your mom makes you go to your room. To do homework? Of course not. You're playing video games. In the 90s, Nintendo's Game Boy was one of the most popular portable consoles, revolutionizing the world of video games and allowing users to play anywhere. No more trips to the arcade. It was easily recognizable with its gray casing, monochromatic screen, and compact design that ran on AA batteries, letting you take it anywhere. You could spend hours and hours playing. Using it meant diving into games like Tetris, a global phenomenon included with the console, Pokémon Red and Pokémon Blue, where players could capture and train creatures, or The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, which offered an adventure experience in a handheld device. The Game Boy was a pioneer in the industry and a constant presence in young people's backpacks, giving them the freedom to play on the bus, at school, or at home with friends. Recording songs from the radio onto a cassette was a common and special practice for teenagers. They would spend hours listening to the radio, waiting for their favorite song to play so they could capture it on their tape. These tapes often became personalized gifts exchanged between friends and couples with titles like The Best Love Songs, making recorded music an emotional gesture. Remember that? Waiting for hours for the radio to play your song so you could record it and give it to a girl? Creating a mixtape on cassette required patience and dedication, as you had to wait for each chosen song to play, which could take days. The process was hands-on. If the tape broke, all you needed was a pen to manually wind the tape back into place, allowing you to rewind or fast-forward songs. While downloading music today is instantaneous, 3 decades ago, creating your own mixtape was an experience. The arrival of the aforementioned Discman made music more accessible, but cassettes remained a unique format that gave listeners a closer connection to the music and artists. Even today, this format holds a special place in the nostalgia of that generation, with some modern albums even released on cassette to recapture that charm. 90s fashion was a period of diversity and self-expression, blending iconic styles with rebellion. Influenced by TV shows like Friends, bands like the Backstreet Boys, and movies like Clueless, this decade offered a mix of comfort and attitude. Popular items included high-waisted jeans, flannel shirts, and crop tops, representing the grunge and youthful spirit. And let's not forget the accessories like chokers, bandanas, and chains, essential for personalizing any look. Sports-inspired outfits with visible brand logos became common, while hip-hop-inspired fashion, featuring baggy pants and chains, gained massive popularity. On the feminine side, slip dresses and floral skirts provided a relaxed vibe, while crop tops and leather jackets added a bold touch. This fashion was so iconic that many 90s items have made a comeback today, like high-waisted jeans and flannel shirts, now paired with modern pieces. It's safe to say this revival is driven by nostalgia, as 90s designs capture an era of freedom and creativity that continues to inspire current fashion, from streetwear to high fashion. Back then, having a mobile phone was a different experience compared to today, with devices that were heavy and basic. Nokia phones, in particular, dominated the market. Models like the 1992 Nokia 1011 supported the GSM standard, and the famous Nokia 3210 of 1999 sold millions of units. Unlike today's MP3 ringtones, phones in the 90s had polyphonic ringtones that you downloaded or composed on the device. Connectivity was limited. Accessing the internet was difficult and depended on WAP, a protocol that offered a stripped-down version of websites, mainly in text. Data transmission technology was also basic. Without Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, infrared allowed connections between devices, though they required alignment and could disconnect easily. And don't think that these old phones had short battery life. Quite the opposite. They stood out for their long-lasting batteries, which could last for days without a recharge. Plus, the external antennas improved coverage in rural areas. They were compact, and many people preferred smaller models like the Nokia 8850. Having a mobile in the 90s meant adapting to limited technology, but with the advantage of simplicity and durability. In reality, during that time, Nokia wasn't the main form of communication, as many people didn't own a cell phone. Instead, most households had a landline phone. Using it was a unique experience. Calling friends meant going through intermediaries like parents or siblings, who answered before reaching the person you wanted to talk to. This lack of privacy was common, and there were also established hours. Calling late at night was frowned upon. You could talk as much as you wanted, but you'd see the consequences at the end of the month when the bill arrived. "I'm on the phone," was the phrase many teenagers used to warn family members not to hang up from another extension, a frequent family conflict back then. Besides the phone, kids also used walkie-talkies to communicate over short distances. These gadgets allowed for adventure scenes, simulating military-style communication with phrases like "over and out," adding fun and a different way to connect with friends, although they had to stay nearby. In the 90s, no computer was complete without Windows 95, Excel, and PowerPoint, but there was an even more important program, Word with its Word Art tool. In the 90s, Word Art became an iconic Microsoft Word feature that allowed users to create eye-catching titles for documents. It was visually revolutionary for its time, giving users the ability to transform simple words into colorful text with 3D effects, shadows, curves, and other styles. Using Word Art was easy. Just open the menu, choose from different styles, each with unique colors and fonts, and customize the text in a limited way. For those who grew up in that decade, Word Art represented creativity and modernity, adding a unique touch to school projects, invitations, and newsletters. Its use defined the visual style of the era, giving common text an artistic and fun flair. It was particularly popular among students and workers, who wanted to make their documents stand out in an era when digital personalization was in its early stages. the POW of 30 years ago. Launched in the mid-90s, it was a phenomenon in the virtual pet category. This small, egg-shaped device contained a digital pet that required constant care, and users had to feed, clean, and entertain it to prevent it from dying. The experience of using a Tamagotchi in the 90s was unique. Each user had to keep an eye on their pet all day, and it was common to see kids and teenagers checking and caring for their Tamagotchi anywhere, even in school, though they risked having it confiscated by a teacher. The toy's alerts and beeps signaled when the pet needed something, and the goal was to keep it alive for as long as possible. I'm telling you, thanks to this toy, teens kept entertained for hours. The Tamagotchi offered a virtual caretaking experience that was both addictive and emotionally endearing. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you next time.